Welcome to another episode of our Leader Seeds podcast. My name is Jordan, and I'll be your host here. I want to welcome you to today's episode, and we're going to start it by, first of all, giving you a heads up. We are in a 10 in 10 blast, where we are kicking out 10-minute episodes 10 days in a row, and you're listening to day 5 in that series that we have here at Leader Seeds podcast. Now, we've been starting these with a question. So the question that we want to start with today is, have you ever tried to follow a leadership strategy and it actually took you in a bad place? Like it took you maybe even to burnout. Now I'm talking about a good strategy. Like maybe you've seen an example, somebody gave a presentation or they taught something and you're like, I'm going to follow what that guy said. And you did it and you just got different results. Right? See, so we're going to talk about that today. It's called, as you've seen in the title, it's called Seasons Over Strategy. And today we're talking specifically about the season to roll. That's ROLL. And I'll explain all of that detail and what encompasses it and what it's all about and why it is the utmost important in your foundational methods of high impact and healthy leadership. Now, before we get things started, we always take a quick music break. So go ahead and here we go. All right, so I'm back, and let's go ahead and get things going for today. I hope you enjoy a little bit of that music. It's nice to kind of get a little music break in there, a small one, because these are just 10-minute episodes. Now, to get things started, I want to welcome you to our Leader Seeds podcast. If you're the first time, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the podcast is here. If you are already familiar with it, I thank you first and foremost for being our faithful supporters. The community at Leader Seeds has definitely grown into something that is just phenomenal and is reaching more and more people every single day. So I thank you for being part of that movement. Now, if you're checking it out for the first time and you're just trying to see what's going on with leadership, I want to tell you that we believe in high impact and healthy leadership. And what that specifically means is that we believe that you can make a high impact when you're pursuing your full potential, and it doesn't have to be at the expense of a healthy lifestyle. Like you can do both, and it all starts with foundational methods. And specifically, maybe the core of it all, I'd say, is this principle we call seasons over strategies. If I'm honest with you, I haven't heard it I completely nerd out on this stuff. I've been living it for the past 25, maybe even 30 years in the leadership space, and I haven't heard much at all specific talk about season over strategy. So when we kind of put things together in our research and we started to see things and we started to work with people and see great results, it really stood out like a sore thumb. Like this is the utmost important, like understanding seasons over strategy. So today we're talking specifically about the season to roll, ROLL, and I want to tell you a little bit about that. A quick reminder, the last episode right before this, we talked about the season to run, right? Remember, that was all about showing up early. You're the one setting the pace. You're the one, just kind of pushing, right? This is like the beginning stages of maybe even parenthood, or the beginning stages of your ministry or your business or whatever it is, right? Maybe you're a brand new leader and this is your season to run. Okay. Now, this season we're talking about here is your season to roll, ROLL. And I want you to think of the word momentum. Now, a momentum is a movement that is not directly because of you. Okay? So it's not directly because of your specific effort. But there's a movement going on. There is a momentum going on. And I want you to think about, like, when you get a chance to actually start to have people that are doing what you used to do in the beginning. So maybe things that you did, tasks that you did in your season to run, now you have somebody helping you with that. It could be a major task, it could be a minor task, but you have somebody doing something that you used to do. So you can kind of step back a little and the momentum is still going. Now that, like I said, think about whatever leadership space you're in. If you're at home and you have a child taking on a chore, you have a child taking on a responsibility. Now, if you're in for work, right? If you actually starting to partner, and maybe even you're hiring people, you got volunteers in your ministry, whatever it is, you're having people take an assignment that you once used to do on your own. Okay. Now, here's another part. I know some of you are actually solopreneurs out there, and maybe you have a software or you have a technology that's doing something that you once used to do. Okay? This is also your season 2 role. Okay? Now, it's very important. It's very important because these actions by others are really important, because there's a relational part, there's how you pour into people, there's how you take care of systems, and you up level. I want to pause really quickly, just because so let's say if you have a system instead of a person, this still pertains directly, because eventually you want to identify a person to use that system for you. Okay, so just because you have a system in place that's kind of helping momentum, right? Maybe you have technology or some kind of app or something doing something that you used to once do. Guess what? Eventually you want to find a person to manage or lead or learn that system, right? Because that's how we grow in our leadership. That's how we grow. That's how we start to multiply your effectiveness rather than just add to it. You can multiply it. Things are happening when you're not there. But what has to happen is this season to roll. Without this season, people get buried in their leadership, because there ends up being more things to do, and the leader takes on everything, and there's too much to bear, and eventually the leader gets burnt out. Once again, led to a unhealthy lifestyle. And that's not what we're about here, right? We're about high impact and healthy leadership. Now, with that being said, that's why eventually you want to start to identify people to do things that you once used to do, or a process or a system. Now, in this season 2 role, another key word that I want to really stand out. If you're taking notes, I want to, first of all, give you a high five, a podcast high five with the like that, or just kind of give you a, because we believe that note takers are difference makers. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write this big word down, and it's the word called development stage. This is your development stage. This is when you're pouring into people. Don't think delegate just yet. Don't think that yet. Just think development stage. You're developing people. You're pouring into other people, right? Other people will have different parts to start from. So here's another part I want you to write down. Different strokes for different folks. It's, do you understand your people more than your program right now? Do you understand your people more than your platform right now? This is the questions you want to ask. Do you understand your people more than your product right now? This is questions you want to ask yourself, because it's the people that you connect with that will help build the effectiveness of your mission, your business, whatever you're leading, your home, whatever you're leading, right? So it's your kids. Do you understand them and their learning style and their leadership potential? Do you understand the person behind it better than the task itself? Because most times we understand the task so well and we expect the person to do it exactly the way we did it. But it's not going to happen like that, right? I heard a very good principle. If somebody can do it 51% as good as you used to do it, it's time to let it go. And you got to be okay with that in the beginning, right? It will grow, and you'll give them that space to grow in. But if they can do it at 51% better, then you don't wait till somebody can do it exactly as you can do it, because you'll be doing it forever. You'll be stuck in run forever, and eventually you'll run out. So you want to start to identify and start to look, who can I start to pour into? Who can I start to reach out to? This season 2 role is extremely important, because this season 2 role, when we get this season down, it'll allow us to take the next season, which is the season to rest. And we'll talk about that on the next episode. But to effectively rest, we got to build and develop in this season 2 role. So here is a very good leadership strategy in this. I said it already. I kind of just threw it out there, but if you wrote it down, great. If you didn't, here's your chance again. It's called different strokes for different folks. You want to understand your team's learning style, and you want to meet them right where they're at, right? You're not going to have a set development plan yet, but you're developing it as you're working with the person. But the idea is to still have it. Here's a second very good strategy in this season. It's called we do. Anytime you're doing something by yourself, you want to think, who else can I invite to do this with me? Who else can I bring in to kind of do, so we do this? You can do this together. It's a perfect place to kind of train and to ask questions and to process with people right there. So you want to think we do. That way it's not just a handoff from what you're doing and then they're doing and then that's it. You want to we do some stuff. That's a very good principle or strategy in this season. Here's a bad one. I want to throw it out there. A bad one is if it needs to get done, I'm going to do it myself. That's a bad one. That might work in your season 2 run because it's just you. You gotta set the momentum. You gotta push forward. That might work in that season, but this is a good example. In this season, in a season 2 role, this isn't a good strategy because if you have the mindset of if it has to get done, I'm just gonna do it myself, you'll never start to develop other people. Therefore, you'll cut yourself from ever having a season 2 rest, which we'll talk about in the next episode. So that's it here. I'm out of time right now for this episode. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. I hope you took some notes. I hope you got some key points on there. And I hope you expected to find something great because every time you expect to find something great, you'll always find it. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. Like we said, this was the season 2 role, a very important season in your foundational methods of high impact and healthy leadership. Join us on the next episode where we'll talk about the season 2 rest. With that being said, let's wrap up for today.